Hey everyone, welcome back to day 12 of my 15-day, 15 video challenge. My name's John Adams, and I want to kick off today with another quote. This quote's really been a game changer for me, especially early on in my journey of weight loss and fixing my health. It's been a huge part of my new mental outlook too. And I want to give this to you guys for those that are just kind of in that place where, man, it just feels like life is kicking me really hard. And I'll be honest, guys, it's been kicking me really hard recently too. And if you're curious about that, like I said yesterday, go back to day 10. I'll give a little bit of info there, but I don't want to keep dwelling on it because, again, we're here to support each other, guys, and we're here to help you. So this is a quote from Maya Angelou. It says, "I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it." Let that sink in for a little bit. Sit on it just for a moment. I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it. Let me give you guys a story about a guy. As some of you may know, I drive Rideshare for a living. It's kind of been a blessing for me. I've had a few people get into my car that have given me some great advice. And this one, he didn't intentionally give me this advice, but it was a mental wake up for me. The gentleman that I picked up was blind. I did not know this at the beginning. So let me tell you a little bit about this story. When I pull into the driveway, he steps out of his home, locks his front door, 2 locks without feeling around, walks down 4 steps, no handrails, walks down these steps, goes down a curved sidewalk to his driveway. Now this is where it started to get a little strange for me. He stops in the very middle of his driveway in front of his garage door, and he's standing there. And what I thought was just kind of looking around. I let a couple minutes go by, and finally I just rolled down my window and I said, "Hey," and I can't remember the gentleman's name, but I said, "Hey, is such and such coming out? I'm his driver." "Oh, are you in an electric car?" I said, "Yes." He says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't hear the car. I was used to listening for an engine." He says, I'm blind. Can you keep talking?" I said, "Okay." So he comes walking up to my car, puts his hand on the front hood, guides himself to my back door, finds the handle, and gets in. Now, here's where it gets fun. We get in the car, and of course, I'm not that guy. I'm not going to ask a ton of questions, but we're just, talking normal. And it's a 2-way trip, multi-stops, what they call it on Uber's terms. And it was to his bank and then back to his home. Now, we get to the bank, and as I'm pulling into the parking lot, what I found out later was he felt the bump going into the parking lot. But as I'm pulling in, he says, "Is the second door or second parking space next to the door available?" "Yes, it is." "Can you pull in there?" "Sure." So I pull into the parking space. I put it in park. He proceeds to open the car door. Now, I don't even say we're here. I put it in park. He proceeds to open the door, walk out of my car, now without guiding himself at all. No cane with the red tip or white tip or any of that. All that from driver's ed, I can't remember. But none of that. He steps over a parking block, steps up onto the sidewalk, walks over to the front door without touching the building, opens the front door without feeling for the door handle, goes in, does his banking, comes back out, walks directly to my back door, gets in and sits down. Now, again, I said, I'm not that person. I don't really want to ask some personal questions. But at this point, I was so curious, and it was eating me up. So I had to ask. And I said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Please don't take this the wrong way. But are you blind, or are you legally blind? Can you see shadows, shapes?" He says, "No, I am blind. Never seen a thing." He says, "People say, when you're blind, you see black. I don't see anything. I don't even know what I see. There's nothing. Been blind since birth, never saw a thing in his life." Now, In my early 20s, I fell from a train and I shattered my elbow. And a lot of my, weight gain and my ups and downs and my continuous dieting, I blamed on the fact that, my elbow doesn't straighten and my legs hurt, my knees hurt, my back hurts, and I can't, be healthy and this and that. And this gentleman just blew me away. So pity party on John. But so I say to him, well, sir, again, I have to ask. You're fully blind. You've just blown me away. And then I repeated what I told you about him coming out of the door and locking the door, walking down the stairs and all this stuff. And I said, you no cane, no anything. And then I'm assuming you knew we were pulling into the bank because I hit the little bump going in off of the road onto the drive. He says, yes, that's exactly how I knew. And I said, oh, wow. I said, you've really got to tell me, your story. And he says, okay. He says, as soon as I was old enough to realize I was different, I decided I was not going to be different. I was going to do everything it took to be as normal as everybody else and to live a great life without assistance as much as possible. So he took a bunch of classes and he learned how to count steps and he learned how to listen and he learned how to tune his body to those other things. So instead of going, man, I'm blind, I'm going to need a cane and I'm going to need people to guide me and I'm going to need. The man owns his own business. I picked him up at a home that I could only dream about owning. All I did was drive him to the bank and bring him back. But in that short car ride, something clicked. I went, why am I? Pity party on John. Oh, you fell from a train. You could have been dead, but you're alive. But oh, you fell from a train and you're hurt and you can't move your arm and it hurts when it rains and your knees hurt and your back hurts. And this is why you're overweight. And I was already starting this process and I was already upset because my A1C was through the roof and just a million other health concerns going on in my life at that time. We won't go into. And how am I going to lose weight? How am I going to do this? And I hadn't met the gentleman who changed my life, and we'll go into that one in another video. But this guy woke me up and he kind of verbally just smacked me in the back of the head. And it showed me, no matter how bad life seems right now, somebody, somewhere has it a whole lot worse. And they're living life. Now, I'm not saying, oh, your issue isn't big. Because in your eyes, I'm sure it's huge. And my issue was huge. And his issue was huge. But at the end of the day, let's go back to the quote from Maya Angelou. I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it. He will never see. God brought him into this world blind, but he gave me a gift through him. And that gift is we can be humbled by a million different things. We can think life is beating us down. But how are you going to react to it? I figured today, instead of going through a list of things that we can talk about, I just wanted to give you this story. Because this story was a huge part in changing how I think. Now, if you go back to day 10 video, you can see I've been struggling doing this. I'm not perfect. None of us are. And I'm not saying because you're struggling that I'm any better or any worse, because we all struggle. But what I'm saying is step back, take a breath. Focus on what you can control in that moment. We can't change the past, and we cannot control everything around us, but we can control our actions and our reactions. When I was overwhelmed by setbacks, it knocked me down. But now I ask myself this: what's a positive thing that I can do right now to make things better? That one small action can make a huge difference in pushing yourself forward. And then surround yourself with positivity and positive people. If you're surrounded by negative people, I know sometimes it's hard, but try to remove yourself from that. Because in our darkest hour, having positive people around us would really help. Guys, I just want to thank you again. I hope this touched somebody. I hope that this helped brighten your day. Again, take one small step today, no matter how small, and let it remind you of your strength you already have inside of you. If this video inspired you at all, please be sure to subscribe, like, and comment below. This will really help me. That'll be your one big thing for today, or your one small thing for today. Throw a like on this video, throw a comment on this video, and say, hey, I appreciate what you're doing. It's helping. Or, hey, you know what? I forwarded this on and shared it with somebody who I think it'll help. Throw me a comment. Let your one small thing, if there's nothing else, be my victory for the day. Let me know that this is helping you guys. Let's keep this conversation going. Let's build this community together. Oh, and by the way, this is also going to be the home of my new podcast coming up, my Health, Tech, and Wellness podcast. So stay tuned for that. Again, keep up the good fight. You've got this. Whether it's losing weight, whether it's just fixing your health in general, or whether you're just in a dark spot in your own mind. As always, guys, stay healthy, stay balanced, and keep driving forward. We'll see you next time.